He's the new voice of controversial talkback station Magic Talk.
A beloved broadcaster, you will know who he is, and I'd like to kia ora welcome Danny Watson
Kia ora, hey.
into the show.
Don't lay it on too thick.
So where has the former News Talk ZB host been for the past few years? Well, we caught up with Watson at his very own Pakeha in the upmarket Auckland suburb of Devonport.
Kia ora, Danny.
Oh, kia ora.
How are you? Nice to see you.
Nā me. Welcome to He Manu Hopukia.
What would ZB listeners think of Danny Watson right now?
Well, if they saw that, that'd probably start a bit of talk, I would say. Yeah.
That's right, the United Tribes flag, flying high over a posh, predominantly Pakeha neighbourhood.
How long have you been flying the flag?
Without knowing it, probably all my life. Yeah. But really flying the flag, knowing what it was, I would say early 1990s, probably 91 or maybe 92.
Did they know that there was a man who was flying the sovereign flag in News Talk ZB?
If they had have known the depth of my convictions, they probably wouldn't have hired me.
Danny Watson has been part of Aotearoa's media landscape for nearly 40 years. He began his career on children's television programs Spot On and What Now.
Who writes this rubbish?
But it was at News Talk ZB that Danny Watson became one of the best-known voices in talkback radio.
What were you known for on the show, do you think?
Possibly I was known for two things. One, I didn't care who they were. Nutbags, whatever, they have a right for a voice. And the other thing was, the reo wasn't there. Mangere, Waitangi, Auriwa. Oh, excuse me. Didn't tell anyone they were wrong, but it became Orewa, Māngari.
What did they say?
I kept all the derogatory emails and filled up, the boxes that your reams of paper come in. I filled a box in the first year. When someone sends you an email and says you're a or you're just a black ass, or you're licking ass of those Maoris, you just sit and go, what the hell is going on with these people? What's their world like? How sad.
What was it like being, you're kind of in the heart of the racist views of New Zealand, being a Māori working on News Talk ZB?
And I think in News Talk ZB and other stations, it's not unique. It's across the board. It's in television. You will have seen it. You will have come across it. And what happens is, I don't think people even understand how racist we are institutionally. They don't get it.
And it's that institutional racism that has seen Watson become a stalwart of the Māori independence movement, meeting regularly with other supporters at gatherings like this, held in Waitangi.
And before the tohu o ngā tupuna, before the signatures of our ancestors, you'll see kōna rangatira o te whakamininga. So that's the significance of this day and this time.
It's a far cry from his childhood in Titahi Bay, just north of Wellington.
When you were growing up, what was it like for you to be Māori? Did you accept that you were Māori? Were you proud?
No, you weren't raised as Māori. It wasn't part of my psyche, I'll be honest. It was not part of my psyche, because you're growing up in a Pākehā world.
Was there shame around being Māori?
I think in my mother's side, a lot of South Island Māori, very Pākehā, it was like shut up or put up, and there was a level of shame.
But all that changed later in life when Watson was paid an unexpected visit.
In the late 1980s, 1990s, whānau came and addressed me about my whakapapa and who I was, which was quite challenging. And this wonderful woman called Rangitākina Ruka, she was a Harris, stood me in the kitchen with all of the whānau, put her arm around me, and she said, "Son, we have a question to ask you." And I said, "What's the question?" She said, "Well, your mum denies her whakapapa, but it's the same as mine. So we don't have to change her if you become my son." I said, "How does that work?" She said, "Well, you become my son. E whāngai nei." I said, "Yeah, okay." The whānau go, "Cheer." That was it.
From that day forward, Danny Watson fully embraced his whakapapa. Now a te reo speaker, his urban papakainga is shared with extended whānau and the wider Devonport community.
We've got the hall, which we use as a wharenui as well, and we teach karate and that in there. There's the kitchen, and you go back through here. This is a house. We truck that in, and look at this lovely, lovely old church that's sitting here as well.
Beautiful. And here, you're also having te reo classes, don't you?
Yeah. There's been a lot of people in the community have tapped me on the shoulder and said, OK, what about teaching the reo? And of course, well, I'm not a kaiako, but I said, OK, come along. We'll have a kōrero. And so I decided to teach them in the way I was taught, and that is, let's start with a pepeha. Kia ora whānau. Let's grow that and let's have a mihi, and then out of that, as they get more comfortable, they'll just pick up ngā kupu. They'll pick up the words and they'll just run with it.
E ngā rangatira, e hui mai mō te akuna o ngā taonga Māori, tēnā koutou.
Watson's return comes amid controversy. Earlier this year, Magic Talk host John Banks lost his job when he appeared to endorse the views of a caller who described Māori as a Stone Age culture. Watson says he's experienced those attitudes firsthand.
There are broadcasters that are racist. There are some that pretend they're not, but they actually are. And I don't want to name names, and I'm not going to name names because I don't think it's fair. The biggest moment for me was I'd been away at a tangi. So I wasn't on air for 3 days. And I came back into the office, and it's a big open office. One of the personalities walked past and said, "Oh, where you been, Dan?" I said, "A tangi." And he said, "You Maoris, anything to get a day off. Whose was it?" I said, "It was my brother's." There was deathly silence. That's what you had to live with. And we're still living with that rubbish.
I'm quite excited to be listening to Danny again from Shona. Oh, then Roger's gone, what? 2 wokesters in one environment? That's the end of Magic Talk.
Now, after years of radio silence, Watson is ready to take on the rednecks of talkback and impart some of the mātauranga Māori he's learnt along the way.
As you grow and you go on your journey, you get a few grey hairs. If you embrace te wairua, me te ara tika o ngā tupuna, huri no, that's all ancestors. If you embrace the truth of it, you embrace the footpath and footprints of all of our ancestors, Pakeha and Māori, and bring it together under our umbrella. It's challenging for Māori and Pakeha, but he pai ana. That's the journey.